to the Ashes to Rubies podcast.
And live stream, where we talk about life and recovery and so much more. And I had one more. Seinfeld or Friends?
Friends.
Really?
Yeah. Most of the Seinfeld that I've watched has been accidentally, like not on purpose.
Really?
Like not
like you've never watched
just
all
because it
of
was
Seinfeld?
No, just because it was always on. So you have to watch it if you're looking for something to watch. I didn't ever go on the TV like, I'm gonna watch Seinfeld.
Really?
No, not really.
Man, that was the show. That was the show. That and 90210. I think they were close to the same time period.
I saw that. We watched a little bit of that recently.
The beach or swimming pool?
Oh, I like the beach.
Do you?
Because I don't.
You have changed so drastically.
Because I don't have a swimming pool.
No, you don't have a beach either. You've changed so drastically.
I'll tell you why.
Because you hated the beach.
No, I'll tell you why. The beach, because I don't have a swimming pool, and I can't invite everyone that I want to go to like somebody else's swimming pool. There's a swimming pool I could go to, but I can't invite other people.
No, you probably can.
I don't think.
Yeah, the beach is just down the road from us. One scooter ride away. All right.
I don't really like driving my scooter over the bumpy road.
Welcome to our morning meditation, where we are going to take an idea out of this. It's contemplative, and we'll roll around with it, and then you can take it throughout the day. Here we go. Thursday, still Booch Pit without power. We have power. Our friend's power just came on this morning. Yay.
We hear about the alcoholic having a slip, returning suddenly to the bottle after a period of sobriety. We deplore it when it happens in our family, and most of us must confess that at this point we angrily blame the alcoholic for the lapse. If, however, I think of this as a relapse, it will help. If, however, I think of this as a relapse, it will help to remind me that alcoholism is a disease that is not cured when sobriety takes over. I can no more blame the alcoholic than I would blame him for a relapse in any other disease. I too have lapses from the Al-Anon pattern I have tried so hard to follow. When I fall into my old habits of self-pity and reproaching, my relapse is just as involuntary and forgivable as that of the alcoholic. Today's reminder: the bad moments will pass if I do not blow them up into tragedies. An old popular song says, pick yourself up, dust yourself off, start all over again. Al-Anon thinking can help me accept these shocks with equanimity and send me on my way to a better tomorrow. Quote, I wonder if we non-alcoholics have ever realized that a relapse is a lot more painful to the alcoholic than it is to us. Let us not make it worse.
At least the alcoholic doesn't remember it. Well, there's a lot there. There's some the disturbance of people that will watch this, that when you said disease, they're like, it's not a disease. It's a moral failure. It's a spiritual failure. They just have to try harder. So there's that. And then I don't think that in my life I want to accept my own relapses. And when I hear that word, relapse is not part of recovery. It's part of the disease. So actually it's a proof that I don't have the recovery that I want. And so it's a good sign, and it can motivate somebody in the right way. But the goal would be abstinence. The goal would be freedom from addiction.
Right, but we're not reading this from that perspective. And
so in the big book, it says we are never cured, but we have a daily reprieve, contingent on our spiritual health. So then a relapse would say that I don't have the spiritual health that I need because I'm powerless of staying. Recovery is not about staying sober. Recovery is about connecting to God. And so if I don't have the power to stay sober, that means that God isn't, I can have a belief in God, but not tap into his power. So then I know in my experience in early recovery, you had a lot of grace, which I can look back on. Surprisingly, I don't know what you were going through, but I did have, in that year, I had a bunch of relapses, and you never really said anything. I don't remember you like condemning or saying anything. But my goal was abstinence. So it was like that journey of becoming in contact with the power that would keep me sober until now. And so my job today is have conscious contact with God, just like I have conscious contact with my phone, conscious contact with you. When I have that contact, then I have his power and his authority. And then we rack up the years of sobriety.
So the reason I think in those years that I didn't really make a fuss or didn't really say anything is because your goal was to be sober. Your goal was recovery. Your focus was recovery. So, but no, in my mind, from my perspective, you were working a program. You were going to meetings. You were meeting with a sponsor. And so you would have a relapse, and then you would come home and you would call your sponsor. I'd hear you on the phone. You'd go, he'd come over. You guys
meet on a Monday,
you guys
a little
would
shaky.
You'd be in my basement, like, and so I think for me, that was still obviously your goal. But what I couldn't do anymore is just live with like someone who's just gonna drink because they want to.
Yeah, like there's that tension anymore. Of like, I'm still doing the things to walk into the relationship with God, and there's that I don't do it. There's the other side of it. I'm not doing anything,
right?
And I'm slipping, or I'm having some relapses, but I'm not doing recovery.
Once it had been established that alcohol was a problem, a serious problem,
life-threatening
problem, it came to a point where I just said, I can't live with that problem anymore. I can't have that problem like in my home around my kids.
It's too destructive.
I just can't do it. And not that that's everyone's choice, but that was what happened for me, because it was so bad and so serious. Because I can't just like the part of this where it said like, where was it? When I fall back into my old habits of self-pity and reproaching, like, yes, those things weren't useful. Though that is not useful.
So if you're in a situation that causes such great self-pity and reproach and resentment, it's more poisonous for you, and you should.
That's the whole thing. Like, I couldn't. So before you were trying to get sober, you were 100% not trying to get sober. You, like, when you were of the attitude of like, leave me alone, everything's fine, I had to do something different for like, and it wasn't me being full of self-pity and reproaching and being angry at you and telling you what you needed to do. Like, no, you need to be abstinent. Like, no, you need to stop drinking. Like, that's not helpful. It wasn't helpful for you, and it wasn't helpful for me. So that was just like so explosive for us. And so we needed to be out of that cycle.
But I said I would. I promised I did these things, and nothing. Like, I don't think I.
No, I'm saying before.
No, I know.
Before you came to that realization.
So this is like many diseases. Yeah. Once you've been diagnosed, then it's your responsibility to not be cured, but to have the daily reprieve. So just like diabetes, just like heart disease, those are the exact same concept, where the diabetic could relapse all day long or all week long on donuts and not exercising. Like these kind of diseases, they have to implement eating behaviors and working out and that kind of thing. With the addiction side of things, we have to really work out on our spiritual side. And the physical and the emotion kind of come into contact with that. It's like this whole, like, I have to surrender my whole life to working out and being close to God, and then doing his work, his will. So that's kind of like the disease idea, where we actually do have a responsibility to stay and take our medicine on a daily basis throughout the day. And so many times, like in our minds, it's like, well, I can go without it today or tomorrow. It's like, how long can I hold my breath for? And so I don't like to hold my breath very much. So my disease is never cured, but it has a daily reprieve contingent on.
I blanked. Contingent on my spiritual condition.
Yes, contingent on my spiritual condition.
I'm not good on the spot.
Pop quiz.
I'm not good on the spot.
So that's about relapsing and slipping, and the slip and slides of recovery. And hopefully that person that is in that early recovery part, it is a sign that I don't have recovery. It doesn't. It's a sign that I don't have the power of God in my life, because sobriety is a result of the recovered conscious contact with God,
Right.
but it's not. It's a side product of that. So we leave you with that today. Some good wrestling material. Keep the peace, be of good behavior, and we will see you tomorrow.